This week on Talking Pictures with Neil Rosen, we'll look at the 19th century romantic drama Ammonite, starring Kate Winslet and Saoirse Ronan. The suspense thriller Run, along with my interview with its star Sarah Paulson. Director Ron Howard's latest, Hillbilly Elegy, with Amy Adams and Glenn Close. Plus, the post-World War II drama The Last Vermeer, where I sit down and talk to the star of that movie, Guy Pearce. We've got all that and many more movie picks coming up. Hey everybody, I'm Neil Rosen and welcome to Talking Pictures. It's our monthly Critics Roundtable show, where we debate what's worth watching and what's not when it comes to new releases, hidden gems, and Hollywood classics. You know, we know that most of the movie theaters are still closed and you're probably craving some entertainment. So along with my panel, who are all streaming from home, we have plenty of movies and TV series for you to watch at home. Joining me are Bill McCuddy from Gold Derby. Hey there, Bill.
Neil, I'm almost done with Netflix.
Lisa Rossman from Signs and Sirens.
Hey kittens, it's so good to see you all.
Good to see you. And Justine Browning from Entertainment Weekly.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to see you. So let's start out with a look at several new films that are available either on demand or on streaming services, beginning with a new film set in 19th century England called Ammonite with Kate Winslet and Saoirse Ronan. Let's take a look at a clip.
What a wonderful opportunity it would be for her to walk the shoreline with you, learn from you.
I'm not looking for an apprentice.
I would be able to pay a premium for a private audience.
Your husband paid me to take you out with me. My husband? Your husband left you. I don't want to be alone.
Lisa, tell us about Ammonite.
All right. So this English seaside set drama, it stars an especially dour Kate Winslet as the real-life paleontologist Mary Anning, who has an affair with Saoirse Ronan as an unhappily married woman who serves as her reluctant apprentice. Okay, the romance itself has no historic substantiation, but that in and of itself would not be a problem to me. I was actually really inclined to like this film, but there's always a but. It's neither the juicy bodice ripper that the queer lady in me would have desired, nor does it deliver the insights about gender and class and sexuality that you might expect. Honestly, this is a doggedly grim experience that drowns in stone and fossil metaphors, which is so unpleasant. And it really pales in comparison to 2019's Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which covers the same ground with a lot more panache and intelligence. So rent that on Hulu instead of this.
Justine, what's your take?
Yeah, as you said, Lisa, these two women were in fact true to life figures. You know, Mary Anning and Charlotte Murchison both did groundbreaking work in male-dominated fields, and you would think that would be enough to warrant a story. But as you said, Frances Lee here decides to erase the real significant achievements that they were able to accomplish, and actually has these overlaid erotic elements that feel jarring. And though it is beautifully acted at times, it feels detached and insincere.
Mm-hmm.
Bill?
This movie is a snooze. Ask your doctor about Ammonite. It sounds like something we should be taking at bedtime, and it actually is. I mean, this is the other thing that you guys are right. The thing that's a crime here is that this woman was ripped off repeatedly in her career. Men actually took credit for all the fossils that she found, even though she was paid and allegedly said she didn't care. That's a much more interesting story. Also, the last 20 seconds of this thing, after Kate Winslet gives what may be an Oscar-worthy speech, it's completely undermined by what happens in the very last scene. So that was a disappointment for me. I can't recommend Ammonite.
Okay, I can't recommend this either. Actually, you know, I loved your sign about ask your doctor about Ammonite because yes, even the title is boring. This was like watching paint dry to me. I mean, it's that boring. Listen, the characters are underwritten. There is no spark whatsoever between Kate Winslet and Saoirse Ronan's character. They could barely stand each other, you know, for most of the movie. And then all of a sudden, like a light switch goes off and they're like hot and heavy with each other. It made no sense to me whatsoever. I found the sex scenes to be gratuitous. and jarring, as Justine said. It just didn't really sync up with the rest of the movie. And I would skip this film. Do I like these actresses? Yeah, but this material and this direction doesn't serve them well at all. Moving on, Justine, tell us about a movie called Hillbilly Elegy.
This focuses on a Yale law student played by Gabriel Basso, and he's working towards a better life when he's drawn back to his Appalachian hometown after he learns his mother, played by Amy Adams, has plunged back into drug addiction. And this forces him to reflect on his troubled childhood, his relationship with his family, especially his mama, played by Glenn Close. And this is from director Ron Howard, and it's based on the controversial memoir by J.D. Vance, which was heavily criticized for its problematic depictions of Middle America. And this film grapples with the exact same issue. You know, given the renewed discussion surrounding the plight of poor white individuals, that this was touted as a window into their views, but in fact, it's far too simple, the portrayals, and it's downright cruel. And there seems to be a running commentary regarding Appalachians that their poverty is their own fault. So of course there are some really anchored and well executed performances here, but it really fails to dig deep into some really pressing issues like the opioid crisis and so on.
Lisa.
Okay, I hate the book that this is adapted from. It's a hateful, self-rationalizing propagator of neocon myths about welfare recipients. But by stripping the story,
And we're gonna say that in English now.
I mean, okay, you literally just exemplified what I'm talking about, but we're good. But honestly, by taking the ideology out of this story, Ron Howard has actually made something worse, which is like poverty porn that doesn't offer psychological or political insight and perpetuates the stereotypes of these poor white people that it's pretending to condemn. And honestly, we're in a moment where far too many people are already bending over backwards to examine this demographic, so this movie felt especially unessential right now. I love Glenn Close in a Brillo wig, but honestly, this film is like a teen screaming at his mother about how embarrassing she is.
Bill.
It's the Beverly Hillbillies with no cement pond. Listen, this is a big misstep for Ron Howard. And like the last film with Kate Winslet, according to Gold Derby, a shoo-in to be nominated, we have another shoo-in here in Glenn Close in another bad movie. I can't recommend the movie, but I think Glenn Close and Amy Adams are doing pretty great work.
Oh, Amy Adams was awful. That's Oscar bait crap. I hated it.
It is, and it's probably going to work. I just want to tell you, I can't recommend the film, but these performances are going to get talked about at the end of the year.
Listen, I'm mixed on the film. I think that Amy Adams' performance and Glenn Close's performance will get Oscar nominations. They're quite good. And I think, although it's slow in spots, the plight of this kid to break out of his family, and despite overwhelming odds, and I won't give this away, there's a decision at the end that he has to make, even though the whole credo of the movie is that the family sticks together no matter what, even though they're kind of destroying themselves internally. Anybody from the outside, we stick together. So, you know, it's not the top of the Ron Howard film canon, but okay. Moving on. Bill, tell us about a movie called Run.
Well, finally, we have a film that's at least a little more fun, if not predictable. This is starring Sarah Paulson, and she redefines helicopter mom. She's taking care of her daughter, Kira Allen, who's a teenager with a disability who uses a wheelchair. She's also a diabetic and an asthmatic. But is she all of those things? Look, the thing about a thriller like this, and it's from the same director who gave us Searching last year with David Kim, and that was a fine first film. This is his second effort. The thing about what makes these fun is whether or not you really go for the ride. And I went for the ride for a little while. However, you're going to see the end coming very quickly in this thing. So even with the great Sarah Paulson here, I'm not sure I was that thrilled with this thriller.
This movie is very predictable. You see everything that's coming. It steals from dozens of other movies. Misery leaps to mind. And it's kind of junk, but junk can be fun and entertaining. Billy Wilder, the great writer-director Billy Wilder, once said that if you create tension, you will keep the audience's attention. And this kept my attention. I mean, I was tense throughout the whole thing. And I think that Kira Allen, who is a wheelchair user in real life, and Sarah Paulson both give fun performances, and I enjoyed it. Justine?
Yeah, and eerily enough, you know, this recalls the true story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, which was chronicled in the miniseries The Act. And yes, you do see the twist coming, but as you said, Bill, it is from the same director of Searching, which utilizes just a computer screen. And in the same way here, this is utilizing a very small space. It's all about the camera work, as you said, creating the tension and really using the camera work and the editing to evoke a certain feeling and really explore it from a psychological point of view, not just to be about the pulling the rug underneath at the end.
Lisa.
I'm a huge fan of films about Munchausen by proxy, which is actually the disorder or the pathology that's going on in this film. But this is the most boring take on it I've ever seen, because it's essentially relegated to backstory for a really middle of the road thriller about a crazy mom. And by all means, demonize the mom as if that is not a tired enough trope for cinema. I love Sarah Paulson, but she has got to start holding out for better material.
It's a fun suspense thriller. You'll see everything coming, but it won't matter. And I sat down on Zoom with Sarah Paulson to talk about the film. Let's take a look at that interview.
I've been following your career for a real long time. What made you want to step into this particular genre?
I thought the script was really interesting. I love this idea of just thematically, what does it mean to be a mother, and what does because I'm not a mother, what does that bond look like when it has a kind of a potential sickness at the core, meaning for Diane mentally, and how that it was just an interesting thing for me to explore.
Justine, tell us about Dreamland.
Yeah, this is a Depression era story that follows an imaginative teenager played by Finn Cole, whose family is struggling to get by and maintain their farm amid the economic crisis. And he catches wind that there's a reward for finding a notorious bank robber, played by Margot Robbie. And he sees this as an opportunity, and then very conveniently for him, after a series of events, she ends up injured and taking refuge in a barn on his family's property. Surprise, he's rather enamored with her and doesn't turn her in. Instead, he starts to work as her accomplice. This is a pretty straightforward crime saga. It doesn't necessarily add much to the genre, but there are these sweeping, beautiful shots of these menacing dust bowls. It's very Terrence Malick-esque, and that elevates the production value. But at the same time, because so much attention is played to the imagery, I think the characters actually become lost.
Bill.
This is Terrence Malick light, and it looks good. But the problem is the guy who's cast in this thing is not really interesting until the two go on the run, because he doesn't have much of a decision to make except to hide her in a barn for almost the first half of the movie. That means Margot has to carry the movie, and she does pretty well. I think she gives a pretty good performance in this film. So I would recommend it just based on her alone and the way the film looks. But otherwise, this thing is kind of a misfire.
Lisa.
I can never bear Margot Robbie, who she seems to confuse like this can-do-it brassiness for acting with a capital A, and she's extra irritating but that is not the problem for me. The problem is that it's such a mealy-mouthed, cotton-headed twist on Bonnie and Clyde. And you know what, we keep on talking about Malick here, but even Malick can't do Malick anymore. So watching other people do him is so painful at this point.
Yeah, I was really bored with this up until the last, as Bill said, when they go on the lam, like the last 15 minutes of the film. That was the only part that was interesting, when she's hiding out with this hayseed guy. By the way, I thought it was a terrible performance.
Terrible.
Finn Cole, the guy who plays the guy that she's wooing, to become her accomplice.
Who fell out that they had to give him the part at the last minute?
Exactly.
It was just, Margot Robbie, I think she's a good actress, and I think she's not served by this stuff at all. It's Bonnie without Clyde. It's Bonnie, and not even good Bonnie. I'd skip it. All right, next up, On the Rocks. Interesting movie. Lisa, talk about it.
Well, this is the latest from Sofia Coppola, which reunites her with Bill Murray to visit her trademark topic, daddy issues. What else? Rashida Jones plays a stalled-out mom of two and a writer in this Manhattan screwball caper, in which she and her Rat Pack-style art dealer dad, Bill Murray, work out their own relationship while spying on her husband, Marlon Wayans, who they suspect is cheating on her. I love all of these performers, especially Murray, obviously, but I've always felt like Sofia Coppola is a better art stylist than a director, and this film does not change my mind. You would think she'd have plenty of insights about growing up in the shadow of a charismatic, womanizing powerhouse. Hello, Francis Ford, but no. In fact, it's more of a pleasant enough way to spend 2 hours, but honestly, neither this film, nor its characters, nor even New York itself have as much character as you'd expect. I would stream Lost in Translation instead.
Bill?
Listen, this is a lot of fun. It's been trashed a lot. Everybody says it's not as good as like a Woody Allen movie. I got to tell you something, that Sofia Coppola is doing Woody Allen way better. I just saw A Rainy Day in New York, and this is a much better film than that. It's also nice to see New York City. I admit it's a little antiseptic and a little whitewashed, but this is a load of fun when Bill Murray's on the screen. And so if you've heard bad things, is all I want to say.
From me.
Give it, or anybody, just give it a shot, because it's time well spent. Yes, it looks like a Vanity Fair magazine article, but that's not a bad thing.
Justine?
I found this to be really sweet, and I think the fact that it embraces its lighthearted homage to classic spy stories, I felt that it was deeply personal and refreshing. I felt returned to the simplistic exploration of relationships that she captivated in with Lost in Translation. And I actually loved looking, I guess maybe in a nostalgic way, given the current circumstances, at the way that she captured a very different New York when this was filmed last year.
Well, that's interesting, because it's nice to look at New York pre-pandemic, where all the streets are teeming with people and all the hot spots are also very crowded. As you said, Bill, she is trying to do a Woody Allen movie, but I don't think it is as good as a Woody Allen movie. But the movie's not without its charms. I think Bill Murray's character is supposed to be obnoxious and a know-it-all, and that's not always endearing at times. But, you know, it's on Apple TV, and if you have that service, Bill Murray's Bill Murray, and I love Rashida Jones. It's not great. It's worth a look. Next, a historical drama called The Last Vermeer. Bill?
Well, I tell you, this is a good idea for a movie. It's a little long. Let me tell you what it's about. A soldier is investigating a renowned Dutch artist, Han van Meegeren, who forges Vermeers and is sent to trial for allegedly conspiring with the Nazis. Guy Pearce is Van Meegeren, looking a little like David Spade sometimes. But the real story here is a great Danish actor, Claes Bang, who's a soldier and amateur lawyer. There are some fun scenes when they go to court at the end, but there are a lot of muddling subplots in this thing. And the thing I want to say to Guy Pearce is, move over, Kenneth Branagh. There's a new ham in town.
Lisa?
Well, you know, there seems to be this certain ultra dedicated audience for stories about the Holocaust and that time immediately post-Holocaust, and this movie's not going to disappoint them at all. It is too long. It does have too many subplots, but I think any examination of mercenaries in the empires of great evil is very timely right now. And honestly, this is the most delightful I've ever found Guy Pearce, with his dastardly eyebrows and that smile that never quite reaches his eyes. I liked it.
Justine?
I just find this period in history so fascinating. You know, this is kicking off just 3 weeks after the death of Hitler, and it's just such a compelling window into the grim uncertainty in Europe at the time. And I think art stands in for kind of a metaphor for, you know, how fractured one's personal and family lives became in the wake of that.
The fact that this really happened, that this is a true story, makes it all the more interesting to me. I think the first 2/3 of the movie are a little slow. It's okay, but this movie really comes alive in the courtroom trial at the end. Claes Bang, good performance, but Guy Pearce, this movie suffers when he's not on the screen. What an incredible performance. Just wild. Hey, I sat down with the star of the film, Guy Pearce, again on Zoom. Let's take a look.
Quite a character. And there was quite a flamboyant touch to the way you portrayed him. Was this a choice that you made, or in your research, was this something that you came upon that this is actually the way he was?
While everyone else was, as I say, starving and struggling to deal with World War II, he was living it up, having parties. He was a very flamboyant character. He was a very hurt man. You know, he'd wanted to be a great artist himself and had sort of been rejected by the critics in his earlier life. But he wasn't going to allow that to dictate what kind of life he led. So he lived as if he was the great success that he always wanted to be.
There's a couple of TV miniseries that we want to discuss, and first up is something called The Queen's Gambit. Here's a clip.
What are you gonna do instead, huh? Get drunk?
Now that you mention it, yeah. Sounds pretty good.
Beth,
Borgoff made me look like a fool.
that's because you weren't ready.
I don't even know if I'm good enough.
You're the best there is. You beat me.
Okay, fine. I'll come to New York.
Lisa, you know how much I love this series. Give everybody the scoop on The Queen's Gambit.
Neil, we are on the same page on this one. It is my favorite TV series of 2020.
Me too.
It's an incredibly stylish and sharp mid-20th century study of a fictional female chess player, played with a brilliant poker face by the other earthly Anya Taylor-Joy, who you might remember from The Witch. Here she goes from a Kentucky orphanage to being a world-ranked chess master while indulging in drugs and booze and sex with nerds, and a total rejection of coquettish femininity and the best glamour and fashion the 60s has to offer. The series makes chess more exciting and accessible than it's ever been on screen, I think, and it asks really good questions about how trauma builds us up and then breaks us down. It's just this really heartfelt and droll and suspenseful tale of female achievement and independence with a great soundtrack and amazing supporting performances by, this is interesting, the Can You Ever Forgive Me director, Marielle Heller, plays her adoptive mom, and Moses Ingram.
Also directed Diary of a Teenage Girl. One of my
she's awesome. And then Moses Ingram, who is her deliciously blunt orphan best friend. I love this series.
I can't tell you. This is just such an amazing thing, and if you tell somebody what this is about, hey, it's a series about a woman who's playing chess in the 1950s and 60s, who's not accepted in a man's world. Who would want to watch that? And you watch this and you go, wow, this is just the most incredible thing, because it's so much more than that. It's a character study about how she's addicted to drugs and she has relationships.
Like I said, all of what I said, exactly.
It's just, I'm just so excited about this series. It's terrific.
Calm down.
And, listen, I think I equate the movie, in some ways it's a sports movie. You know, those matches at the end, and I know nothing about chess. They're as exciting as the first Rocky movie when he's with Apollo Creed in the ring. I'm on the edge of my seat. Justine, go ahead.
Yeah, this so beautifully weaves together sense, memory, and the present. And of course, there's a feminine element to it. And, you know, the narrative surrounding men who are geniuses or who think they are endless. But this really gives us a perspective that is missing from film and TV. And few stories that I think really explore the concept of being gifted through a gendered lens and a coming of age story for a young woman. Really amazing to have it, be so thoughtfully produced as a miniseries.
Mr. McCuddy.
Come on, you guys. Chess is for boys.
Oh, that's so cute. Sexism is adorable. It's so funny. So funny.
Okay, let me explain.
I know you liked it.
I love this thing. With the whole family.
But I had to make a sexist dig anyway because it's hilarious.
Calm down. Coming off the ledge, Lisa. Here's what I'm trying to say.
Really condescending, Bill.
This doesn't really reflect the times as well as it could. And also, she has a pretty easy go here. All the boys in this thing take her on as their new leader. And I've read a couple of pieces in the New York Times that said, by women who played chess back then, this is not exactly the way it was. So I think the series misses an opportunity to have her overcome some real idiot guys instead of everybody jumping on her bandwagon. I think Anya is amazing. I recommend this to people who ask me what's the thing they should see, but I think there are a couple of moments that ring false to me.
Next up is a documentary miniseries called The Comedy Store. Bill, comedy, you know a little bit about that, right?
On some days. The Comedy Store is a mecca that was started by a woman named Mitzi Shore out in Los Angeles. And she went on to either discover or help develop the careers of David Letterman, Jay Leno, Louis C.K., Joe Rogan, Richard Pryor, Robin Williams, Michael Keaton, who people forget was a stand-up before he was Batman, J.J. Walker, Freddie Prinze, Sam Kinison, all of this in the very capable hands of another stand-up comedian, director Mike Binder, who brought us Black or White, Upside of Anger, Coupe de Ville. He knows the territory. He got a lot of famous people, including Letterman, including Leno, who don't normally show up to do this sort of thing. It stretches over 5 episodes. It deals in each episode with different kinds of things, including the last one, political correctness. Even if you're not a fan of a lot of these stand-ups, this is a really fascinating look at a real place that they tried to make a Showtime series of called I'm Dying Up Here that was terrible. This is great.
Justine?
Yeah, and you've seen a boom in the last few years of comedians hosting their own podcasts. And a few segments here have a lot to say about comedians owning their own voices, rather than being at the mercy of venues and having to filter themselves. And that's what I enjoyed most. there are interesting points about the evolution of the art form, you know, how in the past you could go work out material, and now, of course,
Right.
bands film it on their phones and so on. You can't really have the ability to workshop and find the joke or the punchline and so on. And, you know, unless you're doing NDAs, or as Dave Chappelle does, banning technology from the shows. So I really thought it was fascinating. And I think there's an added element now to really look at how the industry's been affected, and that in-person art form is shaped by COVID.
Listen, it's a fascinating history lesson over 5 parts that shows you where all these comedy legends got their start. And it's amazing that Mike Binder got all these people, not just Leno and Letterman, like you said, Bill, but I mean, there's everybody, you know, who performed there almost. Whoopi Goldberg, they all speak on camera. And look, Bill's done some stand-up comedy, and I'm a comedy junkie. And I think if you're interested in this sort of thing, you know, it's really, really, really well done. But I will say that it does miss the mark on one point. If you watch this whole series, the point of reference is that if you don't get accepted in the Comedy Store and you want to be a comic, then your career is over. And that's really not true. What it doesn't say is that Jerry Seinfeld came out of New York comedy clubs, so did Eddie Murphy. And watching this, it makes you think that this was the only place to be. And, you know, and I think that was a fault.
Mitzi Shore was the gatekeeper for The Tonight Show and some of the other shows that were produced out there. Otherwise, yes, there was a New York bastion. You're correct.
Yes, but John, the first episode's the best one. When you had to be, you get that spot on Johnny Carson, you become a superstar. We have to check out now because we're out of time. And I want to thank my panelists. I want to thank Lisa Rossman. I want to thank Justine Browning. I want to thank Bill McCuddy. I'm Neil Rosen. Stay safe, everybody. We'll see you next month on another episode of Talking Pictures.